Namaskar viewers, hello and welcome to Sansad TV. I'm Kriti Mishra with the news. Over the next 30 minutes, I'll be taking you through the latest news from around the world. First, the headlines this Tuesday evening. Russia prepares to send troops to Ukraine. UN Security Council calls it violation of Ukraine's sovereignty. US warns of sanctions. India's calls to Russia-Ukraine tensions matter of great concern. Air India operates flights to bring back Indians from Ukraine. Voting for fourth phase of Uttar Pradesh elections tomorrow, 624 candidates in the fray for 59 seats. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla appeals to world community to unite against terrorism. Address in UAE calls for cooperation and energy and economy. India's first wheat consignment since Taliban rule leaves for Afghanistan through the Atari-Wagah border. Let's take a look at our flash news segment. Active COVID-19 cases cross in India fall below 2 lakh after 49 days. Government blocks apps, website and social media accounts linked to banned organizations seeks for justice. Minister for Rural Development and Panchayati Raj Kirti Singh launched Rural Connectivity GIS data in public domain in New Delhi. Bombay High Court directs Maharashtra government to submit status report on CCTV's installation at police stations. Mumbai civic body to launch electric vehicle cell on Wednesday to assist policy making and building infrastructure. 11 people returning from a wedding killed in Uttarakhand mishap. Prime Minister expresses grief, announces relief. Sensex tanks over 1,000 points, NSE Nifty below key 17,000 level in opening deals on Ukraine tensions. Dubai ends RT-PCR tests at the airport for travellers coming from India. Rajasthan High Court sets aside result of Rajasthan Administrative Service Preliminary Examination 2021. Blast in Burkina Faso gold mine kills 59 people, injures over 100 others. And the United States said it will impose sanctions on Moscow. This follows President Vladimir Putin's order for Russian troops to deploy into Kremlin-backed separatist areas of Ukraine.
Russian President Vladimir Putin signed a decree recognizing the independence of Donetsk and Luhansk. Putin's recognition of the rebel-held territories shatters a 2015 peace deal for East Ukraine. It paves the way for Russia to openly send troops and weapons pitting Ukrainian forces against Moscow-backed rebels. In his address to the Presidential Security Council, Putin underscored that NATO expansion must be rolled back and Ukrainian membership to NATO is not acceptable. He also decried the West ignoring its legitimate concerns. The United Nations, meanwhile, opened an emergency meeting of the Security Council, calling Russian actions a violation of Ukraine's territorial integrity and sovereignty. The United States of America called Russia's move an attempt to set the pretext for invasion. India is viewing the developments on the issue with caution. India's permanent representative to United Nations, T.S. Trimurti, told the UNSC meet that the developments have the potential to undermine peace in the region.
In conclusion, we strongly emphasize the vital need for all sides to maintain international peace and security by exercising the utmost restraint and intensifying diplomatic efforts to ensure that a mutually amicable solution is arrived at the earliest.
Addressing his nation, Ukrainian president said, Ukraine is not afraid of anyone or anything. Meanwhile, families are evacuating the trouble-torn areas backed by the rebels. While some are crowding the Russian side of the border, others are heading for Ukraine. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
Meanwhile, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has called for a negotiated settlement on the ongoing dispute between Russia and Ukraine. He said that India wants peace and talks between various sides, and that will provide the solution.
जिसमें अमेरिका के राष्ट्रपति मिस्टर बाइडेन ने यह कहा है कि हम रूस के प्रेसिडेंट पुतिन से बातचीत करने को तैयार हैं। यदि दोनों की बातचीत होगी तो मैं तो आश्वस्त हूं कि कोई न कोई समाधान निश्चित रूप से निकलेगा। भारत का जहां तक पक्ष है, भारत शांति चाहता है।
And the Indian embassy in Ukraine has once again asked Indian students to leave the country temporarily. In its latest advisory, the mission said students are advised to leave in the interest of their own safety rather than waiting for an official word from the university. It has also asked Indians whose stay is not essential to leave temporarily.
पैनिक करने की कोई आवश्यकता नहीं है। भारत सरकार ने एडवाइजरी जारी की है और जो भारतीय हैं वो हमारी एम्बेसी के टच में रहें।
And moving on, India today sent its first consignment of wheat to Afghanistan through the Attari-Wagah border for the first time since the nation came under Taliban rule. Foreign Secretary Harshvardhan Shringla said more food supplies and other humanitarian aid will be sent to Afghanistan over the next few weeks. In the last few months, India has sent huge quantities of life-saving drugs and other essential items to Afghanistan as part of humanitarian aid efforts.
Today, we are ready to start the first, as you saw, the first consignment of 50 trucks carrying 2,500 tons of wheat has set off for Jalalabad in Afghanistan. We expect multiple consignments to roll out of the Attari ICP, and within 2 to 3 months we should have completed our commitment of 50,000 tons of wheat. Now this is very important for Afghanistan because there is a shortage of food grains, shortage of medicines. We have also supplied 5 lakh doses of Covaxin vaccination. We have supplied 13 tons of essential life-saving medicines, winter clothing to Afghan people.
Now news from the poll-bound states. Voting will be held for the fourth phase of Uttar Pradesh Assembly elections on Wednesday. Polling will be held for 59 assembly seats in 9 districts. 624 candidates are in the fray. Key contests involve State Ministers Brijesh Pathak and Ashutosh Tandon, Samajwadi Party leader Abhishek Mishra and former Deputy Speaker Nitin Agarwal. Voting will start at 7 a.m. and will go on till 6 p.m. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed an election meeting in Bahraich in Uttar Pradesh. He said the atmosphere of fear is lifting from Uttar Pradesh. The Prime Minister also questioned the Samajwadi Party on the issue of terrorism and nepotism.
आगे बढ़ने के रास्ते खुल रहे हैं, नए रास्ते बन रहे हैं। गरीब कभी बैंक के दरवाजे तक नहीं जा सकता था, आजादी के इतने दशकों के बाद भी नहीं जा सकता था। हमने बैंक के दरवाजे गरीबों के लिए खोल दिए दोस्तों।
And earlier, the Prime Minister also addressed an election rally in Manipur. He said that twin governments of the BJP in the state and the centre has accelerated development in the state. He also said that it laid foundation for development for the next 25 years.
गरीब के लिए ऐसे काम तभी हो सकते हैं जब डबल इंजन की सरकार हो, जब ईमानदारी हो और सेवा भाव से काम करने वाली सरकार हो। मणिपुर में भी पूर्ण बहुमत की सरकार बहुत जरूरी है।
And in election news from across the states. Union Home Minister Amit Shah welcomed the initiatives taken by the Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath's administration in cleaning up the law and order in the state. Addressing a public meeting in Pratapgarh, he said the vestiges of the mafias left in UP will be cleaned in the next 5 years. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh asserted that the government in Uttar Pradesh has been continuously fulfilling its promises that the BJP has made to the people. He was addressing voters in Balia. Bahujan Samaj Party President Mayawati questioned the policies of the BJP, SP and the Congress in Prayagraj. She said all three parties had an anti-Dalit agenda and were ignoring the backward classes. The Chief Electoral Officer of Goa has sought a report on the alleged violations during voting through ballot papers for service voters. Service voters are generally members of the armed forces or serving the government in a post outside India. Polling for all 40 assembly seats was held on 14th of February in Goa. Counting is on 10th of March. And Samajwadi Party President Akhilesh Yadav has questioned the BJP government over vacant posts in Prayagraj. He promised police recruitment drives, doubling the number of dial 100 vehicles and improve the education system if his party forms the government. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath alleged that political parties are behind a professional mafia that has been dormant in the state for the last 4.5 years. With the announcement of elections, it has become a threat again. Let's take a look at the state news. Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot will present the state budget on 23rd of February. The Chief Minister will also present a separate budget on agriculture. The budget session started on 9th of February. On 15th of February, the government responded to the motion of thanks on the governor's address. Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan inaugurated the Veer Savarkar Udyan and Zilla Panchayat Bhavan built at a cost of 65 crore in Gwalior. He said Veer Savarkar Sarovar has not only been restored but also beautified. And 14 people died after a vehicle fell into a gorge in Champawat in Uttarakhand. Prime Minister Narendra Modi expressed grief over the incident. He announced ex gratia of 2 lakh rupees each from the Prime Minister's National Relief Fund for the next of kin and 50,000 for the injured. And shopping centres and managements have sought the Delhi government's permission to open malls beyond 8 p.m. in view of the falling number of COVID-19 cases. In a letter to Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, the Shopping Centre Association of India has assured that all precautions will be taken against the pandemic. 6 workers were killed in an explosion at a factory in Himachal Pradesh, Una district. 12 people suffered burn injuries. The Prime Minister announced 2 lakh each from the Prime Minister's National Relief Fund and 50,000 for the injured. The Supreme Court will hold a hearing on offline examinations of CBSE and many other boards for classes 10th and 12th. The petition has sought a direction to CBSE and other education boards to conduct examination through other means. The CBSE has decided to conduct board examinations for class 10th and 12th from 26th April. And Rajasthan is experiencing a bout of hot weather. Day temperatures in Barmer district crossed 36 degrees Celsius. Barmer recorded 36.9 degrees Celsius, Jaisalmer 35.8 degrees Celsius and Jodhpur 34 degrees Celsius. After snowfall in Gulmarg and rain in plains of Jammu and Kashmir, Kashmir Valley is in the grip of cold weather. The snowfall in Gulmarg has become a centre of attraction for tourists. Tourists were seen enjoying the snowfall and rain. And moving on now, Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla has called on all nations to unite on the issues of global security, stability and sustainable development. He said this is necessary in order to defeat the challenges of terrorism and violent extremism. Speaker Om Birla was making these remarks in the address to the 6th session of the Federal National Council of the United Arab Emirates. The Speaker asserted that India had always opposed all forms of terrorism. He condemned the recent terrorist attack in the UAE. And Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu on Tuesday underscored the need to make the protection and preservation of mother tongues a people's movement in the country. He was addressing an event organized on International Mother Languages Day.
विश्व की असंख्याक भाषाओं में हमारी अपनी मातृभाषा का हमारा हृदय में विशेष स्थान होता है। मातृभाषा में बोला गए हर शब्द आपकी भावनाओं को दूसरे तक पहुंचाता देता है। हमें अपनी मातृभाषाओं के सुरक्षित रखें, का प्रयोग करते हुए गर्व करें, तभी हमारा मातृभाषा और विकसित होगी।
Time for a short break. Lots more on the other side. Stay tuned.
No force can stop the change whose time has come. An emerging global power in a fast-changing geopolitical environment. With a goal to modernize, to showcase our defenders who are always battle ready. Watch our special presentations featuring India's defense forces and their capabilities in The Defenders, only on Sansad TV.
Nature and You, the Environment Series. Aim is to awake and aware people to protect our environment, be it climate or wildlife crisis, depletion of ocean resources, waste management issues. Only on Sansad TV.
Welcome back. Now news around the world. And in news from across the globe in World Wrap. Hearings into the Myanmar military's 2017 crackdown on the Rohingyas opened on Monday afternoon in the International Court of Justice. Myanmar representatives will address judges on why they believe the case filed by the African nation of Gambia on behalf of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation should be dropped. Gambia filed the case in 2019 accusing Myanmar of committing genocide against the minority Rohingya. Myanmar is questioning the court's jurisdiction and the admissibility of the case. Colombia became the latest country in Latin America to legalize abortion until the 24th week of pregnancy. The decision by a 9-judge tribunal fell short of expectations of pro-choice groups that were pushing for abortion to be completely decriminalized. Nevertheless, it was a historic event in a country where an estimated 4 lakh women get clandestine abortions each year. Colombia allowed abortions only when a life was in danger, a fetus was malformed, or a pregnancy resulted from rape. UK's Chief Medical Officer and Chief Scientific Advisor commented on the government's decision to remove all legal coronavirus restrictions in England, saying the pandemic is not over. Chief Medical Officer Sir Chris Whitty said new variants of the virus are likely to cause significant problems. On Monday, UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson announced that all remaining legal coronavirus restrictions will be abolished in England from Thursday. Iran wants the option to rapidly restore its nuclear program to be included in any nuclear deal in case other parties fail to honor their end of the envisioned deal. Iran is calling this one the most important guarantees in the nuclear talks. Talks between Iran and world powers, including the United States, have been going on in Vienna for months. They are aimed at salvaging a 2015 nuclear deal that saw Iran limit its nuclear program in exchange for relief from sanctions. Fire service rescuers expanded their search inside a burning ferry anchored off the Greek island of Corfu, where 10 people remain missing. The fire on the Italian-flagged Euroferry Olympia was burning for the 4th day, but rescuers gained more expanded access inside the 600-foot vessel after containing the blaze. The body of a Greek man was discovered on Sunday. 281 people have been rescued so far. Now some interesting news from the world of science and tech. The Hubble Space Telescope has captured an image of the galaxy merger IC2431. The event is taking place over 618 million light-years away from the Earth in the constellation Cancer. The image captures a mixture of star formation and tidal distortions caused by the gravitational interactions of these 3 galaxies. There will be, however, very few instances of celestial bodies crashing since they are spread so far, like grains of sand separated by the length of football fields. The International Space Station will be conducting a science experiment X-Roots that could help scientists identify suitable methods to produce crops on a larger scale for future space missions. X-Root stands for Exposed Root On-Orbit Test System. The investigation uses hydroponic and aeroponic techniques to grow plants without soil or other growth media. NASA calls it a technology demonstration integrated with the veggie hardware currently aboard the International Space Station. And Colombia could declare hippopotamus an exotic invasive species and start measures to control its population. The present hippo population of 130 is projected to hit 400 in 8 years. The present-day hippopotamus descended from a few illegal imports by drug lord Pablo Escobar, who was killed by police in 1993. His former ranch and the hippos have become a tourist attraction since then. And firefighters in Argentina are battling a devastating wildfire in the northeastern province of Corrientes. The fire has burnt around 8 lakh hectares, which is nearly 10% of the local region's area. Local residents call the event unprecedented. And art lovers keen to unleash their wild sides should take a look at this crazy exhibition in the Bramante Renaissance cloister in Rome. A group of international artists inviting visitors to revel in colorful, rebellious madness.
It's a modern twist to a Renaissance monastery. Artificial hair, neon lights and sculptures with huge masses on their heads have taken over a building in Rome designed by Italian architect and painter Donato Bramante. These site-specific installations are creations of 21 international artists for an exhibition, Crazy Madness in Contemporary Art. The idea is to tell the story of madness that refuses established norms, schemes, escapes rigid frameworks, and rebels against constraints. The artists were told to work with a single rule: make their creations immersive. Visitors follow a narrative path, step by step, through the extraordinary collaboration of the artists who created works specifically designed for the 17th century monument. In the process, the exhibition is like an exploration of the artist's emotional states. The unpredictability creates expressive leaps between the works that occupy every accessible space, from indoor stairs crowded with 1,500 paper moths to the floor covered with mirrors, giving the public an enhanced view of the architecture as well as the sky of Rome. The exhibition closes with the last sentence from Italian poet Donati's Inferno that captures the show's desire to be a liberating force, and thus we become forced to see once more the stars. The exhibition will run from 19th February 2022 to 8th of January 2023. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
Let us start with cricket. Indian women cricketers have lost the 4th consecutive match to host New Zealand in the 5-match ODI series being played in Queenstown. The first 5 overs of each innings pretty much decided the match. New Zealand posted 42 without loss in their first 5, whereas the tourists managed only 24 with 4 wickets in their hut. An Indian skipper, Mithali Raj, has said that a 50-over World Cup win will make a real difference for the women's game in the country. The Women's World Cup will be played from March 4th to April 3rd in New Zealand. India will lock horns against arch-rivals Pakistan in their opening match of the tournament on March 6th at Bay Oval. And Australia has rested their Test quakes Pat Cummins, Mitchell Starc, Josh Hazlewood along with David Warner from the limited overs matches against Pakistan. Australia's 3-test series in Pakistan begins 4th of March. The limited overs matches are scheduled from 29th of March. And talking about chess, a day after his stunning victory over world champion Magnus Carlsen, 16-year-old Indian chess prodigy R. Pragnananda scored 2 wins, drew 1, but also lost another game. And before we leave, let's take a look at the headlines again. Russia prepares to send troops to Ukraine. UN Security Council calls it violation of Ukraine's sovereignty. US warns of sanctions. India's calls to Russia-Ukraine tensions matter of great concern. Air India operates flights to bring back Indians from Ukraine. Voting for fourth phase of Uttar Pradesh elections tomorrow, 624 candidates in the fray for 59 seats. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla appeals to world community to unite against terrorism. Address in UAE calls for cooperation on energy and economy. India's first wheat consignment since Taliban rule leaves for Afghanistan through the Atari-Wagah border. Well, that's all we have for you in this edition. Thanks for watching and stay tuned to Sansad TV. Namaskar.